it's Alicia Kay. My friend and I decided that in 2026, we were going to tackle our physical TBRs a little bit, and each of us was going to pick 26 books from our physical TBR, put it into a wheel, and then spin the wheel and read what the wheel tells us as we go throughout the year. So today, I'm going to go through the 26 books that I picked from my physical TBR to put on my 26 books I want to read in 2026. These are not all the books I want to read in 2026. These are just ones that I own physically that I want to read. I'm a little bit nervous because I am in multiple book clubs. So this is on top of all of my book club reading. So a lot of reading is going to have to happen. Also at a time in my life when I'm almost trying to intentionally read less so I can do more of the other things I enjoy doing. But with all that being said, let's get into these 26 books I want to read. I probably won't give a full synopsis on all of them because, quite frankly, I don't remember on all of them. Let's go. So this is not in any order. Like I said, they are all put into a wheel. The wheel of the 26 books I want to read. So this is not the order I'm going to read them or anything. It's literally just how they are stacked, which means we're going to mostly start with the paperback smaller books and then get to the hardback. None of these are particularly long, but the hardback may be a little bit longer books towards the end. So starting off strong, I thought the stack was going to fall over for a second. Starting off strong with the Dragonquest by Anne McCaffrey. This is the second book in Anne McCaffrey's World of Pern, Volume 2 of the Dragon Riders of Pern. I don't know if I'll actually read this edition. I have a bind up of the first 3 books and I might read from that one instead of this, but I have both. So this is the one that's kind of like taking the physical place. To be fully transparent, I think I have read this before. I don't fully remember. And it's been a few years since I last read the first one. So I might go back and reread it. Basically, the goal with these is I have read a number of the Pern books, but kind of out of order and just whenever I felt like it. So what I started a couple of years ago, read the first book, then haven't done any other ones. So I might reread the first one, probably on audio if I do. I was going to start with the first one, go through the second and read them in the order that is, you know, I don't know if it's chronological, but the order that is like, this is the order of the series because I have read them so out of order. So I was going to go back and do it in order this time. Next, Tread of Angels by Rebecca Roanhorse. I have read Black Sun and Fevered Star by Rebecca Roanhorse. Read both of those 2 times. Preview, a little sneak peek, a little spoiler, if you will. There's another Rebecca Roanhorse book on here so I can finish out that other trilogy. But also, I just like Rebecca Roanhorse. I don't even know what this is about. At no point did I even look what this is about. I saw Rebecca Roanhorse and I bought it. It's kind of similar for this. Do I know what it's about? Not fully, but I know it's Silvia Moreno-Garcia, so I bought it. So that's it. That's it for this one. I just like her. Next up is Witchmark. So what happened with Witchmark? This is the first book in a trilogy. I've read one of C.L. Polk's other books, and I was like, maybe I should give another one of their books a try. So I picked up the 3rd book in this trilogy, not realizing it was the 3rd book in the trilogy because that one sounded good to me. And then I was like, oh, maybe I should actually just like buy the first book and read it. So I bought the first book. I kind of want to read the whole trilogy in 2026. We shall see if that happens. Next, Bunny by Mona Awad. I have been wanting to read something by Mona Awad for a long time. Finally picked up Bunny a little bit ago. Have not read it yet. So 2026 is the year that I start reading Mona Awad. Do I remember anything about the synopsis of this book? No. Is this a theme throughout basically all of these books? Yes. And I could just read the back, but I'm kind of on a time crunch, so I'm not going to do that. The next book, La Luz de las Profundidades. This is a book in Spanish. I'm trying to practice my Spanish. This one is a little bit chunkier, which makes me a little nervous because it is in Spanish, but I am trying to practice. It's almost 500 pages long. It's gonna be fine. I'm trying to practice, and reading books in Spanish helps me practice. And if I talked about it in Spanish, that would also help me practice. Entonces, no recuerdo mucho de las temas de este libro, pero quiero leerlo, quiero practicar mi español y leyendo me ayuda a practicar, me ayuda a entender más, me ayuda a aprender más palabras y quiero hablar de los libros en español que leo en español cuando estoy hablando de ellos en mis videos. Estoy tratando. Next, Hold Fast Through the Fire. So this I actually know and remember some things about because this is the second book in a series. I don't remember how many books. I think 4 books are currently out, and maybe it's just a 4-book series. I don't know. But second book in a series. It follows the Neo G, and it's basically like Coast Guard inspired, and it's very military, and the first book is basically like preparing for a game where the different branches of the military get pit against each other to like box and things like that. So I enjoy the series. It is kind of pro-military, so know that going in if you are, thinking about this book. It's like the military in space. Next, More Than This by Patrick Ness. This has been on my shelf, on my TBR for a very long time. I think it's been on my like broad, not physical TBR for a lot longer than it's been on my physical TBR. And then I found this copy at a thrift store and bought it. And every time I'm like, maybe I just shouldn't read it, I get pulled back in when I read the synopsis. And maybe it's because it deals with the afterlife. I don't know. This is going to happen in 2026. We'll see. We'll see what I think about it. We'll see how it goes. At this point, it just kind of needs to be read or DNF'd and then sent somewhere else. But I don't think I'm going to dislike it or anything like that. Next, The Night Watchman by Louise Erdrich. This is about a man who is the night watchman for a jewelry, nope. He's a night watchman for a jewel-bearing plant near the Turtle Mountain Reservation in rural North Dakota. And it is a Native American man who does this job. And I think it's kind of about his life and the discrimination he faces and all of this. And I have read The Sentence by Louise Erdrich and really enjoyed it. And I wanted to read something else by her. So I went with The Night Watchman as like my next book I want to read from her, because I think this might be her most famous and definitely very well loved from what I've heard. Next, Homegoing by Yaa Gyasi. I really enjoyed Yaa Gyasi's other book, Transcendent Kingdom. I kind of just want to read her other book, Homegoing. I don't know if she has more out now. Homegoing I've heard a lot of really good things about, so that's why it's on here. Next, An Unkindness of Ghost by Rivers Solomon. I have read, actually I think 2 other books by Rivers Solomon. I enjoyed them both. I hope I'm not misremembering what I've read. There's like a short novella. Is it right here? It is not right here. About a mermaid that I loved. And I'm pretty sure that is by Rivers Solomon. I'm literally trying to see if I can find it on my bookshelves. And I am not seeing it right now. And I'm not remembering what it's called. And then I also read, I'm not remembering the name of either of these. But I think I've read 2 other books by them and enjoyed them. This one I was really debating if I would get a physical copy or not. Then again, I found this at the thrift store, so I went for it. And this I'm really interested in, basically just because it's space opera. It's like a space vessel and all this stuff. And those kind of stories I'm really into. I love sci-fi. So that's why I'm picked this one. Next, 2001: A Space Odyssey, Arthur C. Clarke. This is just a classic sci-fi story. So I finally got a physical copy and decided 2026 is the year I read this. Next, Rosewater by Tade Thompson. I read at least one other book by Tade Thompson and I loved it. And I've heard a lot of good things about Rosewater. So that's why. Also, I just got the third book in the trilogy. I think all of these books were given to me as gifts. So I should read the books that people are gifting me, right? Yes. Next, and what I believe is the last of the paperbacks, I almost dropped it, is The Last Days of the Dinosaurs by Riley Black. I met Riley at a dinosaur thing that I went to at a museum, and she was selling her book. So I talked to her and I was like, this sounds really interesting. I'm just excited to read it. What I know about this is it is like nonfiction, but it's kind of told in a fiction story style. And Riley Black is not like a writer. I mean, she is a writer. She also like studied all of this fossil stuff, which makes me sound like I know a lot about fossils because I called it fossil stuff. But she like studies dinosaurs and then has written, this is the first book. I know there's another one about maybe what life would have been like at this time if you were a dinosaur, I think. Next, You Were Born for This, Astrology for Radical Self-Acceptance by Chani Nicholas. I love how shiny this is. I got a text message. I read it. I love how shiny this is. I got this as a gift. I don't know a ton about astrology. I'm not necessarily like super into astrology, but I am queer. I think it all makes sense. I'm going to read this in 2026. I also love radical self-acceptance. So I am going to see what this is all about. See what I can learn from it. Next, graphic novel. I put this on there partially because it's been on my shelf for a little bit of time. Not a super long amount of time. Not as long as some of these other ones. But I bought it because I was thinking about going to the graphic novel book club at one of my local bookstores. The issue with that is I was already in 3 book clubs and then I was like, maybe I'll try the graphic novel book club, and then it just never happened, and it's not going to happen, but I am going to read this book. Next, The Last Colony by John Scalzi. I read the first 2 books in this series. It's been a hot minute, but they're kind of like just, I don't know. For this series, I don't necessarily feel like I need to remember everything that happens because it's not, in some ways, not super complicated. The first book in the series is The Old Man's War, which I really enjoyed. And I think I would recommend, but like be aware they're products of their time. Particularly when it comes to some of the language used. I don't love some of the language that is used. The one that sticks out to me is that they do use the R word, and I don't like it. And so when I say they're products of their time, that's what I'm referring to. And that's part of the reason I don't think I've read this earlier, but I do enjoy it enough to continue on through the series. I don't think I have paid full price for a single one of these books. I always just kind of pick them up at the thrift store. So as I find them, I read them. Next, A Ruin, Great and Free by Caldwell Turnbull. I read the first 2 books in this trilogy, making this the 3rd and final book. So good. I think I've read the first one twice. This came out October of 2025, so it has not been out that long. I think it was October. I don't know. Fall of 2025. I'm very excited to read it. I want to just see where the series goes, how it ends. I really, really enjoy the series. Next, The Potency of Ungovernable Impulses by Malka Older. This is the third novella. It's a little bit longer than the other ones. I guess it's called the Mosa and Pleety series. That's what I was hoping to find on the back of that book, the name of the series. Think lesbian, queer Sherlock Holmes. And that's kind of what you get, but on like a sci-fi world. It's right up my alley. In 2026, I am finally going to read Legends and Lattes. And I'm going to read this special edition that is, hold on, signed, because I did go see Travis Baldry. I went to his talk thing. He gave a talk thing in my city. And I went and I paid to get signed copies of the first and the second book. Haven't read either of them. 2026 though, I'm at least going to read Legends and Lattes. Bookshops and Bone Dust is not in my 26 books I would like to read in 2026, but it is one of the books that I would like to read in 2026. As long as I feel like I have the time. Next, A Good Day to Pie by Misha Pop. I did a blind date with a book at one of my local bookstores. This was the book that came out of my blind date with a book. This is the second book in a series. So I have since read the first book, and in 2026, we'll be reading the second book. And this, basically, I can actually give you a little synopsis for this one. It follows a woman who has some magic and uses her like pie baking magic to kill bad men. Next, Providence by Anne Leckie. I have read the Ancillary Justice, I don't remember the name of the trilogy. I've read it, really enjoyed it, want to read Providence. As an honorable mention, it's right here. It's right next to Bone Shops and Book Dust or whatever it's called. I hope it's not Bone Dust and Bookshops, but it could be. Translation State by Anne Leckie. This is a bonus that I would love to read in 2026. This is the one that's on my challenge TBR. Okay, we are getting down there. Next, The Bewitching. I don't know why I shook it like that. The Bewitching by Silvia Moreno-Garcia. Again, do I know what this is about? No. Was it written by Silvia Moreno-Garcia? Yes, that is why I bought it. Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby. This is about a black dad and a white dad who want to figure out what happened to their sons who were gay. And I think they've both done time in prison. The dads, not the sons. I started this on audio, and I just don't know if the audio was working for me or if it wasn't the right time, because like this is a very heavy book. I'm going to try again. I really want to like this book. I really want to read this book. My sensibilities in books might make it so this is a very difficult book for me to read. Next, Mirrored Heavens by Rebecca Roanhorse. This is the book I was foreshadowing earlier in the video. Third book in the trilogy. Between Earth and Sky trilogy. It's right here on the front. The Between Earth and Sky trilogy, which starts with book 1, Black Sun. Right here. Let's see if I can do this. Book 2, Fevered Star. They are not in order. I've read both Black Sun and Fevered Star twice. Book 3 is now out. I don't know exactly when it came out, but I think I read book 1 and right around the time book 2 came out, and then book 3 was not out yet. I've recently finished rereading Fevered Star, which is setting me up perfectly to finish the trilogy. This trilogy essentially is like what if Columbus had never come to the Americas, and kind of imagining a potential future of American, broad American, not United States of American, but like the continents, depending on which continent you live on, either the continent that is North and South America and the whole thing, or the continents of North and South America. kind of one imagining of what life could have been like. I think it is not really North American, maybe more like Central, North, South American is kind of the vibes that I have gotten, and what I think I remember reading about where the inspiration, or where kind of the whereabouts of where this might be taking place. And number 26, Those Beyond the Wall by Micaiah Johnson. This is a companion sequel. I do not think it follows directly the events of this previous book, but it is a companion sequel to The Space Between Worlds, which I really enjoyed. I've read twice because I knew I was going to be reading this. So I think I reread it this year after I read it a little bit ago. Anyway, The Space Between Worlds follows someone who can travel interdimensionally, and the whole thing with the interdimensional travel is you can only travel to another dimension where the you in that dimension is dead. So the people who are poor and the lower class typically are the people who can become these sorts of travelers because of their life expectancy in these other dimensions. First book follows kind of this arc of learning about the travel and following someone who's doing it. I believe the second book is more like following someone she knew before she started to do the travel. And it's called Those Beyond the Walls. I don't think this is a spoiler. If you want to end the video here because you don't want to know anything at all, feel free. But it's called Those Beyond the Wall because this city, there's like a big city that is like where all the rich people live, and then there's a wall around it, and there's kind of these other towns or like groupings of people that are beyond the wall, and they live in obviously way worse conditions than the people in the city, and they are viewed very, very differently. They are like the social outcasts, and they are the poor, and they are all of these things. So I think this focuses more on the people beyond the wall, since it's named Those Beyond the Wall. So those are the 26 books that are on my 26 and 26 list. Basically the challenge of getting through some of the books on my physical TBR. I'm going to do some honorable mentions. Honorable mention to all the books that I'm using to prop up my phone currently, which are Insurrection and Redemption by Tade Thompson, Storm Song and Soul Star by C.L. Polk. Those 4 books are essentially finishing out the trilogies that I talked about when mentioning some of these. So basically just some books that I would like, if possible, to finish out some trilogies. Next honorable mention, Cinder House by Freya Marsk. This is a Cinderella retelling, reimagining, and from what I understand, Ella, the main character, dies at the beginning of the book and is a ghost trapped in her house. That's kind of all I really know about it, is that, and it's a Cinderella retelling, so we'll see where this goes. I don't really want to know more because it's so short, but I'm going to try to read this soon. This was a Christmas gift, so I'm going to try to get to it post haste. Next honorable mention, The Personal Librarian by Marie Benedict and Victoria Christopher Murray. This, my friend gave to me. She had 2 copies, and she was thinking about putting it on her 26 and 26. And I kind of was like, oh, if you have 2 copies, maybe we should buddy read it. So I think we're going to buddy read it. Do I regret it? No, I think it'll be fun to buddy read it with her. It's just so much reading. All of this plus my book club books. I'm in 3 book clubs. Ugh. What am I doing to myself? Okay, 2 more honorable mentions. One is The Princess Bride by William Goldman. Look at this edition. It is beautiful. This is one of my book club books for January. So this is, yes, I will be reading this book. Also, it's beautiful. Wanted to show it off. Also representing all of the book club books that I will be reading in 2026. This one and The Spell Shop are the ones I know about for sure for January. And then I believe one of my other book clubs, well, that's the 2 of the 3. And I believe the 3rd book club is reading She Who Became the Sun, which I've already read. So I don't have to do any extra reading for that one. And last, I really want to read A Room of One's Own by Virginia Woolf in 2026, but I did not put this in my wheel of 2026 in this challenge because I am planning to move in 2026 and I want to read this when I move. For the challenge, my friend and I are basically going to be reading a book every 2 weeks. In addition, we are both in a number of book clubs. We are in 2 of the same ones. And then there's one other one that I am in that she hasn't come to yet, but I keep trying to convince her. We are basically going to try to read one of these books every 2 weeks. Part of the reason I did some smaller ones was so that I would have some easier time. And then we also have built into the rules that we get, I believe, 2 respins throughout the year. So if we pull a book that we're like just really not feeling, we can respin and then come back to that book later. And also, we do not have to finish a book that we would normally DNF. So if we start reading any of our books and we're like, for whatever reason, I don't want to read it, we can DNF, and we do not, it doesn't like count. We don't have to like replace it with something else to read. So with that, I hope you have enjoyed this video. I am going to go watch a movie with said friend, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Don't forget to like and subscribe.